There's no doubt that the market on Veve right now is absolutely booming, and that means there's probably quite a lot of things that you want that are just outside your price range right now. But that doesn't mean there aren't deals in the market and things that you can pick up to hold for the long term that could pay off massively. And today, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. So let's get into it. Welcome in everyone, my name is Andy and I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come and watch this video on the channel. Just before we get started, if you do enjoy the content and you want to support me on this journey, you can help by subscribing to the channel, or if you want to support me further, you can join the membership. Now there's 4 different NFTs today that I want to talk about that are close to, or if not under 100 gems that you could buy right now, hold for a little while, and they could potentially rise quite significantly to help your liquidity and help you actually build up to the vault that you're wanting to get. Some of these could be things that you'll hold for the long term and don't really care about their prices, but as of right now, I see 4 of these being quite the deal and something that you can pick up for a decent price. The first one that we're going to talk about today is Storm, and this is actually going to be the common, uncommon, and the rare, because all 3 of them are currently under 100 gems. Many of you may be thinking, you know, Storm isn't the best character in the world, she isn't really that well known, and not many people flock to her as someone who is their favorite superhero. You know, there are probably some out there that definitely do appreciate her in what she is, but there isn't really the same fan base when you compare her to something like Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman, or the things like Spider-Man and Superman. That doesn't mean that she isn't still a great deal at the moment on the Veve platform. So one of the interesting things that we've been seeing is the potential role Michaela Cole is going to play in Black Panther's sequel, and she may be Storm. Now Storm in the comic books did actually marry the Black Panther, and our origin of Storm is sort of in the mix, so people aren't really sure if it's best to bring her in or not. However, with this casting, people are speculating that we're going to be getting Storm in the Black Panther sequel. Now this is set to release this year and could potentially make her more of a fan favourite for those who are new to enjoying the comics and the Marvel series. Remember, Marvel has become an absolute behemoth over the last few years. It's not to say that it wasn't before, but I'm meaning with everything that they've brought in with the Avengers and now all the spin-offs, Disney have really taken Marvel to an absolute new level with what they are bringing out now. And I feel, just like Wonder Woman, once she started to get her films and they came out and she had her solo appearance, people started to gravitate towards her more as she was in the sort of limelight. And I see the exact same thing happening when it comes to Storm. Again, it's not to say that Storm is a bad character or she's not cool as anything, because the animations are awesome for the ultra rare and the secret rare. But as of right now, she is going at quite a cheap price and maybe a little bit undervalued. So we can see from here that Storm sat under retail for quite a while, you know, 36 gems, and has been slowly taking a ramp to where she's at right now, hitting her peak around 62 gems just last night. It's interesting to see now that she is increasing from where she was at and where she was sitting at. And we compare this to the Captain America common. Now this isn't the FA of Captain America. This is just the first sort of 3D version of Captain America, where he's depicted as his real version rather than like the Marvel Mighties. But still, we can see here that he was under retail for quite some time before rising up. He took 102 points, rose up, he got down again in December, and now is back up to where he was at before. It takes time for these collectibles to develop, and if you've been paying attention to the live stream that I done on Thursday and some of the other content creators in over the last few days, that once content creators start to speak about Storm more, the price is going to shoot up. And I know quite a few people who have been buying ultra rare, secret rare, and all the set of Storm over the last few days. I've not got any of them personally yet, but it is something that I do want to pick up, and seeing more content creators actually talk about her and understanding what she potentially could be over the course of the next year, this could be something that would be a really great pickup, not only to have the FA of an X-Men character, but also someone who's become bigger in the MCU universe, has now been established into this multiverse that we know right now. That's why I think Storm right now is quite a good deal compared to a lot of other things on the platform, and something that you may consider picking up if those things align with you. Next up on my list is one of my favourites, and that is Deadpool. Now he isn't currently sitting at 100 gems, he's just a bit higher than that with his common, but it is one that I really enjoy and something that I believe you should pick up for a long-term hold. You can currently pick up his rare and uncommon for under 100 gems, but the common, the one I am actually talking about right now, is 102 gems. Now this isn't the highest that it's been. Deadpool did take a run up early on. It's sitting around 140 when I was there talking about it. He went down to 126 and dropped quite significantly quite quickly, even down to 65 at one point on December the 30th. But he has made a run up again to around 102 gems, and that's what he's sitting at right now with a 2% increase over the last day. Now Deadpool, this one anyway, is the only one where we can see his full suit, and the only thing that he has on is his hat. This is something that I feel is still an incredible deal. Now Veve have talked a lot about the utility that things are being added to and the accessories that we're going to be able to get within the MCP and so much more. that potentially makes me think that in the future, we may be able to remove Deadpool's hat and have the full costume, because with the glitches that have been done, you can actually see Deadpool's full costume without the hat and without the Christmas jumpers when you do it in a certain way within the vault. So this does make me believe that potentially we could have some form of accessories with Deadpool in the future. Now again, I'm not too sure if this is the case, but even if it's not, I still think this is going to be an amazing collectible, not only as a seasonal collectible, but just something being the first ever appearance of an incredibly important comic book character as well as a superhero. Now, if we have a look at Deadpool's sort of box office and things that he was able to do, we can see from the 2 films that have been released so far with the worldwide, have over 700 million in both of the movies, reaching upwards of 1.5 billion in the box office worldwide for the gross profit that they have made. And this again is not to say that the Deadpool comic book character isn't popular either, showing that Wolverine #1 shipped an estimated of 196,000 comics to North America, which is less than a third of what Deadpool had done, which reached 658,000 people, with the first 2 chapters of Deadpool surpassing 1 million views each, and the most recent chapter having been read over 658,000. It just goes to show that Deadpool is a very popular character, not only in the movies because what they've been able to do with him, but also within the comic book world where people are really enjoying the manga of what Deadpool is. Now I get it, some people are really upset that the Christmas stuff's there and they don't really like it and it's not something that they think is associated with Deadpool. But personally, I think this is probably the best character you could have done anything when it came to Christmas stuff. Deadpool's character is different. That's why so many of us love him. He isn't like a normal superhero. He doesn't class himself as that. He's goofy, he's weird, his personality stands out, and having a Christmas hat on his character, I think just makes it even better. Now, we've also got to think about years from now when more things are released. What people are going to do is give Christmas gifts to people, share different Christmas things when it comes to the metaverse over the long run. So when we take things like Deadpool and Groot and the Christmas stamps, these are things that are going to probably rise at the seasonal times, at the right times, because people are then buying them to give out to others. This is something that even adds more value to what Deadpool can be. Now I get it, you may not want the Christmas hat and you may not want the Christmas jumper and you might not care about it that much, but for me personally, I think this is still considered one of the best deals that we can get on this platform for such an amazing superhero. This character is extremely popular, and if we are doing comparisons on things like Storm compared to something like Deadpool, it's completely night and day in my eyes. There's so much more popularity when it comes to Deadpool and his character as a whole, and I could see this being one of the best pickups that you could make, especially if you're willing to hold for a little while. Again, if it's something that you just enjoy to have, then just get it for the sake of getting it. Me personally, I have the secret rare and I also have like 9 commons or something like that, but it's because I really enjoyed the character, and I said from the start that that was something I wanted to get. So although I do have more Deadpools and I'm going to probably flip some of them over the next 2 and 3 months when they reach the price targets that I'm after, I'm still going to be keeping some of them for the long run because I love Deadpool as a character and I love what he represents as a whole. So if it's something that you're looking at, then I'd highly recommend giving it a shot or maybe doing a little bit more research, see if Deadpool fits what you're after for your vault. Now the next one we're going to go after is sort of a mix of ones and not one particular one, but it is the Marvel Mighties. Now the reason I'm not picking one in particular is because I think they're all going to have use, and I'm going to tell you why. In the AMA recently, Veve talked about why they want to add more utility to the collectibles that they'd have, because what we've seen anyway from things like OpenSea or other networks that are selling NFTs is that utility being added to the project helps the project move forward. If you're getting things for it, feeling more like a community, using your NFTs for things maybe like games, you're going to feel more connected to the NFTs that you're buying and the collectibles that you're holding. You can only play this certain game if you have this. You're going to get a hero pack if you collect this NFT, something that no one else is going to get other than you who have collected this product. Now to me, companies are going to see that. Companies know that this is going to make them more profit, it's going to make them better collectibles to have and more sought after. The Marvel Mighties sort of came out of nowhere. They weren't really anything special, no one had really heard of them that much, and probably the best route when it came to actually connecting the collectors with these digital items was going for the actual characters depicted in the movies, because that's what people saw them as. However, Veve went for a little bit of a different route, bringing in the Marvel Mighties. We saw maybe one game of Marvel Mighties Heroes that was released a couple years back, but is no longer available, and we haven't really seen anything else from them. So why release something like that when you could easily do the Steve Rogers Captain America as the FA, and you could also do other things like the Eternals as their actual depicted characters in the movies? Well, Dan actually done a video on this a couple months back, and I'm loving the insights that he was bringing to this and some of the speculation that we could be getting here. Now, he suggested that we could potentially be getting a game related to Marvel and the Marvel Mighties, meaning if you hold and collect your Marvel Mighty, you're going to be able to play in this game. There's a few things that point to this being the actual case, and a few things that maybe allow us to see that this could be a reality when we move forward in the next year, 2 years, and 3 years. This here was the Marvel Mighties Heroes mobile game, and it was by Dana and Marvel Entertainment. It was a pretty simple game. There wasn't anything special to it. It just looks like you had 3 characters, you were fighting others, and you could use the characters from the Marvel series that you'd had. You can obviously see things like Iron Man here, and we've got Hulk as well. So they're characters that you could use within the Marvel Mighties Heroes game. Now, the ratings were okay when it came to it, but I don't think it's actually available anymore, and it's something that you can get. It just looks like quite a simple mobile game, but I do believe this is something that we could see more of when it comes to the NFTs that we're collecting, with the utility that Veve were actually talking about. Companies aren't stupid. Companies know what their customers are wanting and move in the direction that they see their customers moving to as well. And something like games adds amazing utility to what you can actually do and how you can actually move forward with that. If we have a look at the Marvel Mighties here, they already look like they're ready to be animated and used in a game. They look like they've been made to actually do that. But when you look at something maybe like the partner statue, it's not really the same. You couldn't really use that in a game, as it's more of a luxury item more than a sort of gaming related item. This is why I think Marvel Mighties could have that utility when it comes to playing games, and things like Steve Rogers or Bucky Barnes or Sam Wilson or the Eternals could actually be used in this Marvel game that is being used. Marvel has continued to be one of the trendsetters when it comes to Veve itself. We've got the Marvel comics that were released first on there. We've got Spider-Man now. We've got the Eternals coming into the mix now. And we've got so much more from Marvel that it just seems like the logical progression when it comes to the utility that Veve were saying they were wanting to add. Now, another thing that Dan had mentioned in his video that I thought was fantastic to look at a little bit more was a man named Cam Punia. Now, he is the founder at Pixion Games, and we can actually see from the LinkedIn that he's the founder of Pixion Games and also an investor and advisory board member for Veve within the gaming side of things. This happened close to the same time from when he found Pixion to then being an investor and advisor for Ecomi. So we've known each other for a very, very long time. We can see from Pixion Games here, they believe competitive mobile games should be accessible, fun, and best to play with friends. We can see the founders here and everything that's going on. Now, we don't have too much more information on Pixion Games itself, but it still does say that they're coming soon, even after 4 months since Dan had made that video. But it is something to pay attention to in the glory of a 3v3 real-time multiplayer game for mobile next year. Now, a 3v3 real-time multiplayer game sort of reminds me of something that we see here. We have your 3 characters that you're using, and then you're fighting against the other characters. This could be something that could relate to the Marvel Mighties that we may see moving forward. This to me could be a big step up in the utility that we are actually potentially getting over the next coming years, and something that adds a lot of value to these collectibles. So if you're a long-term player and you're thinking about this thing in the long run, the Marvel Mighties, duplicating them and trying to get as many as you possibly can, could be one of the best decisions that you could do. And you can pick up some of these for maybe about 15 gems, and there's a lot of them that are under 100. So give them a look, see what you're after, and maybe if these do add utility, you could be rolling in it if you're smart with what you buy and they're deciding wisely with what you want to add to your vault and still using your risk tolerance for what you're looking to pick up. So the final thing that we're going to cover today is the DeLorean. Now, the DeLorean did take a little bit of a run up in the AMA because David had mentioned that the DeLorean would probably become drivable this year again. Now, if you don't actually know, back when the DeLorean was first released, we could see that the common DeLorean was drivable. You were able to drive it around, you were able to use it, and had the functionality of doing so. And I'm guessing with the increases and the improvements that they're going to be making, it's going to be good, and it's going to be something that people will want. It's the first sort of interactive in the sense that you control it, whereas like the Ghost Trap, it's also interactive, but you don't actually control everything that's going on. With the DeLorean, you can do that. That did shoot up to 100 from maybe 60 gems or so. So I know it's already took a little bit of a run up, But that doesn't mean that if you're someone who's planning to hold for a while, it couldn't be something that would be a great pickup for you to actually have moving forward, and something that you would really enjoy having in your vault or with the Veveverse when we're talking a few years from now. If you're someone who does think long term and you believe that Veve are going to be top 1% company, then when we are in the metaverse or the Veveverse or whatever is being built over the next decade, there's going to be ways for you to get around to places. And more often or not, you're probably going to be able to choose your way of transport. And being able to choose the DeLorean, the actual licensed DeLorean, is something that I think would be really, really cool to have and really, really cool to see. And that's why I believe something like this and having it drivable will allow you to not only enter into games that are happening, exclusive things that are happening with just Back to the Future stuff, as well as just being able to drive it. I think it's an awesome thing. One of the things that I'm going to show here is the worldwide summary of what Back to the Future, all three of the films, had done. Now, we had 222 million, 118 and 87 million, and this was released back in 1985 to 1990. And you may be thinking, you know, compared to stuff like Deadpool and all the other Marvel stuff, well, that's quite low, we're not really getting that. But we've got to remember, back in this time, it wasn't really the same as it is now. So even with that, you're talking 210 million for the first Back to the Future. And if we look in Star Wars back in sort of 1980, we can see that 209 million was what the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back got when it came to the lifetime gross of the movie. So it's not to say that even things like Star Wars didn't really hit the same way as you'd say maybe like Deadpool did, or any of the Marvel films that were released over the last few years. So don't think just because it didn't do too great at the box office that it's something that people don't care about. Back to the Future is very iconic for a lot of people, and it reminds them of their childhood. This is what they actually grew up with. So just because of the box office stuff, don't think that this is just not that big of a fan base. Back to the Future has always had quite a big fan base, and quite a loyal fan base at that, from what I've seen in the research that I've been doing. So I think that the DeLorean is something that could be a great pickup for you if you're looking to just have something in your vault that is going to be drivable, that is going to be able to be interactive and more. It's something that I've held for a long, long time, and I always enjoyed having it in my vault. So if that's something that you are looking after, then it's definitely something to look at, pick up, maybe get one for yourself, maybe get one for your friend, and just see what it's going to be when you're moving forward. I had a lot of additions in the beginning, and the DeLorean sat at like 30 gems for a very, very, very long time, and now it's finally getting a little bit of limelight. So if it's something you're after, if it's something you want to see in your vault being interactive, this could be one of the best things to go for. I wanted to give you 4 different areas that you could choose from and you could look at with a little bit of research behind them all as to why they could actually be really good pickups for you. Now again, these could go to zero. We've talked about this plenty of times. NFTs are the most speculative investment that you can make. But if you personally believe that this is what the world is moving towards, then I think these could be great pickups just over or under 100 gems within your vault. But what do you think about the recommendations that I've given today? Do you think I'm completely wrong, or are you going to be picking some of them up? I'd love for you to let me know down in the comments. I know the video on the screen right now will be something you'll love to watch. Have a fantastic day.